And welcome back. So we're back in the cab of our 2009 TRX, and I figured it might be a pretty neat thing to do here is that the last scan tool video we did was on the D8, the X-Tool D8, if you remember. And we kind of went over some of the features and functionality and kind of the key reason why we bought the D8 scan tool, which was for its ability to be able to read pin numbers and program the security keys that we needed to program for our 2009 TRX4 here. And we went over some of the additional functionality that scan tool had in relation to being able to read trouble codes, do diagnostics, things of that nature. But I also had mentioned in that video that we have a launch scan tool that you've seen in a few of the videos thus far, especially on this build and other builds. And I figure with the holiday season being what it is, and the shopping definitely starting to kick up, and a certain day approaching, as we all well know, with it being this week being Thanksgiving week, that I figured it would be good to kind of sit down and go over some of the same high-level features of our launch scan tool here. Now, this is an X-431 Pro 3 S Plus, and I know that's a mouthful. It's just kind of how they do their model numbers, but it's X-431 Pro 3 S Plus. And I'll put a link in the description below to the exact Amazon link I used to purchase this scan tool. Now, Launch right now, as well as Think Tool, I think they're Think Tool if I remember correctly, they kind of look very similar to each other. And the cool thing is, around this time of year, they start giving some substantial discounts to their scan tool. And the other reason why I wanted to do this video is that we're right about 1 year, or just a couple of days past 1 year on this particular scan tool. And I also picked this up last year during their big sales event. And they have a sales event going on now, and they're they are both a Think Tool as well as Launch are giving some pretty good amount of discounts via Amazon to pick up one of these tools. So again, I thought it would be a pretty good comparison to kind of do a little bit of the same type overview on a Launch. So it is an Android operating system. As you may have seen before, it does have integrated into it. Let's see here. That's just for doing screen captures. I don't want to do that. I'm actually going to exit the application so you can see it here. So it is a tablet. It does have the same features and functionalities as with any Android device would have. You can see that we've got a browser built into it. You can check your Gmail. There's all the Google applications you see preloaded on pretty much any Android device. And you can go to the Play Store or the Google Play Store on here and also download other applications onto this as well. Again, it's like any standard Android tablet. It just runs their software. So if I go now, this software auto launches when you restart the tablet. But I'm just going to launch it manually since we closed out of it. And again, you can see the model number there. Now, this particular model of scan tool / tablet, its ODB2 dongle is Bluetooth driven. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to plug this into the ODB2 port and go ahead and turn the ignition on the on position. And the first thing we'll do is we'll do an auto ID and a diagnose, just like we did with the X8. And we'll turn all that off, and I'm going to make sure the radio is turned off here. It is now turned off for copyright purposes. There we go, as well as being able to hopefully hear me better. So if we go into, and you can see the functions here. You have some of the service functions or I don't want to call them, I don't want to say advanced features, but some of the items that you can go into is you can see TPMS in here. You can see their mall, which you can download updates, or you can purchase additional upgrades for this particular tablet. Now, when I purchased this tablet and looking at the newer tablets as well, it looks like they're still running the promotion of you get 2 years of free updates with the launch equipment when you purchase them. So you can see that we got access to service functions here, and much like you saw on the previous scan tool, you've got kind of a lot of the same functionality, where steering angle, DPF, regen, so on and so forth. And I believe you have 30 something functions on this particular launch scan tool, and I'll scan through them. Obviously, we don't have enough time in this video to go through all of them, but hopefully you can see a lot of them there. Window calibration, immobilizer resets, start-stop resets, sunroof resets, you know, tire resets, resetting oil maintenance. A lot of the kind of the same advanced features you see on the other one. But if we go into, let's see, local diagnose, loading vehicle, we want American vehicles. That's what we're dealing with here. We're going to go into Dodge. And I did just update this the other day, so they're currently running version 33.95 of the software. And we're going to say OK. And you'll see it connect to the Bluetooth dongle at that point. You might hear some beeping from that. This is the 16-pin connector, and I'm just going to tell it to automatically search, see if it can find the VIN number on its own. And just like the last scan tool, you can see here that it has. So it has identified it as the 2009 1500 correct VIN number. So we're going to say OK to that. Now, one thing I like about the way this scan tool handles things is I don't necessarily have to have the engine running for this to do a scan. Versus the X tool, you could see that they wanted you to have the engine running, even though on that video we did prove that you could still go into the modules and read trouble codes without necessarily starting it. But what we're going to do is you can do a system scan, and what that will do is go out there and scan for the presence of available modules in the system. And it will come back, as you can see here, and show you whether the vehicle is equipped with that particular module or not. And we'll just let that kind of continue here. You can see it's finding the radio, ABS module, door modules for left and right. It found the radio, it found an HVAC. It found in this case, again, what this particular model of a RAM they call the wireless control module, which handles your tire pressure, your key fobs, so on and so forth. Yeah, door module, steering angle sensor, and it kind of just gives you a rundown of the modules that are inside of each of the items. Now I just clicked on powertrain control module, and it should bring us into that module from here. So that is a little bit of a shortcut for you that you can access from that screen to come straight into a particular module you're looking for. And from here, we can do read fault codes, DTC information, and you can see that there are no fault codes in the powertrain control module. Now, if you just wanted an overall health report, if we come back out of this screen, instead of doing a system scan, you can do an overall health report. You say it just wants the key in the on position, which we do have it in the on position. And it's going to go out there and interrogate every module it can find, and it's going to look for faults. And you can see we've got a couple that are coming in. Door module left, door module right. And let's see what we have here. Now, you can see that a lot of these are still just stored codes. Stored. All these are stored. None of these are active. Stored codes, stored codes. So there's not actually an active fault on this truck right now. If it was active, and this is the big difference between the D8 X tool, and again, this is not a dig on the D8. It's not a negative on the D8. It's just showing you the kind of the difference is that I can look at this code and I can see from this screen that this is stored. Normal means there's no code at all found in that particular module. And if it was active or pending, you'd see that status here as well. So let's see if it'll actually let us clear the GTCs. Engine cannot be running, which it is not. And you can see it going through each module and just clearing those fault codes out. So it should clear their stored codes and everything out of the modules at this point. And again, we're not necessarily losing information here because we didn't have an active code to troubleshoot. You can see now everything is showing normal. Nothing is showing a fault code. But if we had a fault code, what we could do from this screen here is if we rescan it, now they're more than likely going to come back and showing no fault codes found in anything, because now we've cleared the data out, even the stored data out. And you generally don't want to, you know, do a clear all codes unless you've got your repairs complete, which in this case we did, so we knew we weren't in fear of losing any needed or valuable data. So if we were to come into the, again, powertrain control module, and you can see that we can come in here and like we did before, we could say read fault codes, DTC information. And if we had a fault code there, we could click on it and then drill into it further. You can also come back and say, give me the freeze frame data. And if we say, I think it's most recent freeze frame, let's go into that one. See, no freeze frame data. What's going to happen is when the PCM in this case triggers a fault code, it's going to take a snapshot of a handful of parameters within the system. And you can come in and look at that freeze frame data and be able to see, all right, what was the status of like coolant temperature, things of that nature when that particular fault code triggered. Yeah, see, I'm not going to... See, even it has the misfire freeze frame data. So if you're getting like single cylinder or multiple cylinder misfires, you could come in here and say, give me the freeze frame data. Tell me what the other sensors and components of the system were doing at the time that the misfire occurred. Again, it giving you that additional information to help you kind of troubleshoot it. Now, other things that you can do is that if we come into module information, the nice thing here, it tells you the VIN number stored inside the module, the vehicle line, which is a Ram 1500, gives you the part number for the ECU, gives you the body style, telling you that it's set up currently to be a 4-door pickup. Again, just kind of giving you more and more, a little bit more information and a bit easier information to gain access to. Now, this is one of the monitors that was missing on the previous video that we did for the other scan tool right here. ODB2 monitors, including misfire. So if we come into that, again, we're still inside of our powertrain control module. And if we cycle through, and this is a lot of the same information you saw before, such as O2 heaters, O2 monitors. But if we scroll through here, misfire monitor, but there should also be a, there it is right there, which cylinder is misfiring, and that will bring this up here. And as the engine is running, it'll show you your 200 rev counter, as well as all, in this case, all 8 cylinders. And you can actively watch this as the engine is running and be able to see if any of your cylinders are misfiring. And the misfired monitoring status right now, you can see it's in waiting state because it's waiting to run because the engine's not running, therefore it's not going to run. Now, if we hit graph on this point, you can see it immediately takes all those 8 PID, all the PIDs on that particular screen, immediately throws them in their own individual graphs on a separate screen, which is actually kind of cool. Now, at the bottom, if we combine them, and let's say that we want, can we do all of them? Let's see. Yeah, you can see I can come through here and I can put, yeah, it looks like it's only going to let me combine 4. Yeah, maximum of 4 data streams can be selected. So it's kind of a negative, at least on this particular report, to try to combine them versus just having them there on the screen. I like to actually just have it on the, let's go back into that so it's easier to show you. I like just leaving it on this screen when I'm looking at cylinder misfires because I'm just more curious about the count of it than anything else, at least for this particular report. But if you can see, we can go back and we can go into other items just like we did at our last one, which is, let's see here, let's grab the, see, that's heater monitor for the O2, heater monitor for the O2. See, 1102. So that is the O2 1-2 status. All right, cool. And let's back up one. And let's go into read data streams. And the reason why I wanted to read data streams versus what you saw me do on the previous screen, you see I can now select multiple items. So if I wanted to, just like we did in the last time we did one of these videos, if I wanted to go into, or we wanted to go into, I should say, let's see, that's sensor voltage, sensor voltage, sensor voltage. Okay, so let's grab this. Let's grab 2102 volts. 02 volts. I want sensor voltage. So let's do sensor voltage. 2202 sensor volts. Okay, and we should have a 1202 sensor volts and a 1102 sensor volts. So that's going to be the sensor voltage, just like we did in the previous video, of the driver and passenger banks pre and post cat, with sensor 1 being pre-cat and sensor 2 being post-cat. So sensor 1's before the catalytic converters on both sides, sensor 2 is after. So if we say okay to that, you can see that I now have, or we now have, all 4 of our sensor voltages. In other words, what the PCM is reading is the voltage coming out the sensor for all 4 of our oxygen sensors in this case. And you can see the value is 5. Why is that? That is because on key on, engine off on a Chrysler vehicle, they shoot a 5-volt signal to the O2 sensor. So as this sensor warms up and starts to run, this voltage will fluctuate, or should fluctuate. So if we go back one, what I want to do now is unselect all of these. And what I'm looking for is, I'm going to go into sensor level. And 1, 2. On sensor level. Yeah, you can see that there you've got enough PIDs on here that sometimes it's kind of hard to find what you're looking for. But just like the previous scan tool, you can come in here, bring your little typing screen up here, type in O2, minimize your keyboard, and that'll filter your PIDs and make that easier for you to find the items you're looking for. Yeah, 0.2 volts, 1.1, 1.2, and then 2.1 and 2.2. So if we select these, you can see that they're sitting at 2.49 volts. Now, important thing here to remember, the difference between the O2 voltage and the O2 volts. The O2 voltage that you saw was the first PID that you saw was the voltage being sent to the system, because again it sends a 5-volt reference to the O2 sensor. As they warm up, this value will also change. Knowing how to read this value will tell you whether you're running rich or lean, or if the O2 sensors are doing exactly what they should be doing pre and post cat. Again, I'm just trying to give you kind of a really, really high overview here and kind of show you some of the features and stuff that you can drill into. Now, again, just like most scan tools, this scan tool can do bidirectional. Meaning if we go into system selection, in this case, we're going to go into the body control module, because I do believe it is there that we can manually actuate the locks, just to give you an idea. On this particular scan tool, and most scan tools of this type, usually if you go into a module, you'll find special functions and actuation tests. Special functions are usually those items like you're going to reset a parameter or replace a module, or you want to actuate your fuel injectors manually, or manually turn on the auto shutdown relay so you can see if you're getting power to your injectors and your coils. Will normally be under actuation test, or normally be under like an actuation test. Again, special functions would be is if you're going to like maybe replace a module, something along that nature. For instance, if we go into special functions on this body control module, you can see we can come in here and change country code, auto door lock, auto door unlock, disable radio clock display, change the headlight delay timers, change the illuminated entry time. You see, you can program the tire size. You can get in here under your special functions where you can make program or settings type changes. Just be careful when you're in here making some of these changes. Just be mindful of and know what you're changing and why you're changing it before you do so. You definitely don't want to, break a module or lock yourself out of a system. Scan tools give you a tremendous amount of power, and again, just like Spider-Man, just like the Spider-Man movie would say, with that ability comes responsibility. I should say, I don't want to say the movie quote because I don't want to get copyrighted, but you know what I mean. If we come into actuation tests, here's where we can manually turn a function on as if we actually hit the switch or the button on the dash to do something, even though we didn't actually do it. We're going to have the scan tool do it. And that's true of most modern vehicles. Most modern vehicles, when you do something like hit a headlight switch or something along that nature, remember, you're physically turning a switch, but what you're doing is that you're telling a module, which then in fact turns the actual headlights on. That little headlight switch is not actually a mechanical on or off for the headlight system. So what we should be able to do is scroll through here and find what I'm looking for is the usually like to just kind of pick on the door locks if I can, because usually it's a what is this? What did I click on by accident? No, I don't want to do that. What I'm looking for is, again, the door locks. You can see you can cycle your, windshield washer pump, your front wipers, side view mirrors, blower motor. Let's see, can we do that? Well, I was hoping I can, hopefully you can hear this. Well, let's try it. Let's try to turn our blower motor on. Interesting. Cool. Okay. So hopefully you can hear that. What I did was I have the blower motor turned up, and I'll show you here real quick. Hopefully it's going to be kind of hard to see because it's getting kind of dark out here. I apologize. Let me get you back on the scan tool. I have that on the dash for the blower motor. I have it turned up about midway, but you notice you don't hear anything. But if I come into the scan tool, hopefully you can hear that. And now turn the blower motor on. And we can turn the blower motor off. Give it a few seconds. Now she's off. So just to kind of give you an idea of that, you can turn stuff on and off via the scan tool. And so you may be troubleshooting a failed blower motor. And if you got your voltmeter on the connector for the blower motor, you can come in your scan tool and just turn it on and verify that you're getting, power and ground to that connector without having to necessarily come into the driver's seat. What I don't see here, though, interesting, is apparently they do not have the door lock and unlock in the body control module. I thought that it would, but it looks like it doesn't, at least not on this particular setup. So left front pike, reverse lamps. You can turn the reverse lamps on and off. There's your ABS, left rear, right low beam. Okay, let's see something. If it's not in the body control module, let's see if it's inside of the driver door left module. So let's go into the module for the driver's door. Door module front left. Let's go into actuation tests. And let's see, mirror status, window state, mirror LED, puddle lamp, mirror LED, windows, hall sense, mirror signal lamp. So you can see here, you've got the ability to turn on the side mirrors and marker lights on the side of the door. Yeah, still not seeing the. I think I know where the door locks may be in this particular module, or in this particular version of RAM. What we were looking for is wireless control module, which also deals with our TPMS sensors for tire pressure. And if we come into actuation test, and what do we got here? Unlock control, lock control. Yeah, doesn't look like it's got in there what I was looking for either. I figured it may have been inside of that one. Interesting, because I know I can do this on the other vehicles. They may not give you the ability to actuate the door locks on this one, but it's fine. Hands-free module. Left or right, heated seat, steering angle sensors, ABS, and let's see, if we go into radio, what can we do there? So actuation test, yeah, you can see that you can seek up, seek down, you can select the volume, you can push the power button on and off, which is kind of cool. You can eject, open, close the door, you can go into your toggle your Uconnect. But you can see just by going into each one of these modules, and again, I'm just kind of trying to give you some examples of some of the bi-directional testing that you can do. Yeah, powertrain. I don't think it's in the powertrain control module. I'll look. I don't think door locks would normally be in there. Yeah, some of these it's telling you that some of these tests require the engine to be running. Some require the engine to be off. Auto shutdown relay. See, this is where, if you remember in the previous video, we were coming in here and we were actuating our fuel injectors one by one. So you can come in here and select a fuel injector and toggle it on or off, and we were listening for a distinctive click out in the engine bay as we were cycling through our injectors to verify that they were firing correctly. And there's your proportional purge solenoid. You can toggle the heater circuits for your O2 sensors on and off. You can toggle the various solenoids inside the transmission. Again, just be careful with what you're doing and while you're doing it and when you're doing it. Yeah, I don't see it there either. Yeah, my apologies on this. I really wanted to kind of unlock and lock the doors to kind of show you some, something that you could audibly hear. But it works just like the blower motor did here. You can toggle it on, toggle it off, and you'll see it change accordingly without actually having to do it. Let's see, actuation tests. Yeah, buzzer output. That's a hands-free module. That's not going to do us any good either. Well, that's a bummer. One more time. I'm going to come into body control module. And actuation test. Yeah, these are just all your lights, your blower motors, horn. I don't want to do that because it takes a couple of seconds for it to realize you want to turn the horn on or off, so I'll freak the neighbors out. Radiator fan 1, radiator fan 2. You can toggle your radiator fans to run independently. Again, if you're just trying to test it. Turn your fog lights on or off, your headlights on or off, which are kind of cool. Well, anyway, you get the idea before we go too much down that road. You can go into each module, and again, you've got special function actuation tests. Again, actuation test just means you're telling it to turn a particular component that module is responsible for on or off, or toggle it. Special functions usually have to deal with resetting that module or replacing a particular module. So for instance, if we come into special functions without being inside of a module, you can see these are you can do immobilizer key programming, instrument odometer correction, language change, adaptive front lighting system, tire pressure resets, ABS resets, steering angle sensor. So you can kind of see some of the quick to get to functions if you're not in a module, but we go into those special functions. Or again, just to show that to you one more time, if we come into system selection and then go into, let's see here, let's see, amplifier, which I don't know why I clicked on amplifier. Sorry, that's going to time out. This RAM doesn't have an amplifier, so that will eventually time out on us. But you can kind of see the differences, and you can see that they're going, yes, yeah, you don't have an amplifier module in it. We know, we're sorry. But you can kind of see the differences between the tools, where a lot of it looks similar, but a lot of it is also different, where this is geared a little bit better in the sense of being able to use it to diagnose and troubleshoot a vehicle versus other scan tools, which are a little bit newer to the market, that kind of need to, at least in my opinion, refine things a little bit. And if we go back into automatic search, because I went out too far, yes, that's the vehicle we're looking for. And we want to do into system selection. We're going to go into powertrain control module. So I wanted to show you more of this read data stream. And let's go into the pressure switch, high side switch. Let's see if it's in here. Brake switch 2. Brake switch filtered state. Let's see if that will show us something. Okay, so right now we're inside of the data stream for the brake switch. If I'm in the right PID, when I do this, you notice that now says on. Take my foot off the brake, we got off. Put my foot on the brake, we got on. Now we got off again. So again, it's more apt for functions like this for you to kind of come in here and get a real quick synopsis, and it's just kind of geared more towards getting into that data PID that you need and pulling the data out that you want. Now, this scan tool is also compatible with Auto Authority. I think it's Auto Identity, if I remember correctly, or Auto Authority, one of the two. My apologies, the exact terminology is I'm drawing a blank. Basically, for the newer Chrysler models that have a secure gateway, you have to be authenticated. If you remember the last time we did a scan tool video, the particular scan tool we were dealing with didn't support authenticating to be able to disable the secure gateway. So it would need something like what's called a security gateway bypass cable in order to get in to do bi-directional controls of a vehicle that has a secure gateway. Now, this scan tool is compatible with, again, I think it's Auto Auth or Auto Identity. I'm drawing a blank. I apologize. Basically, you can go out there, pay them the money, sign up, get an account, register this launch scan tool with their service, and they'll provide, and basically you then log in. So if this scan tool detects that you're plugged into a newer Chrysler vehicle, it will allow you to authenticate, and then it will basically allow the secure gateway to be unlocked to allow you to do those bi-directional controls and or program changes without having to implement like some type of bypass cable or workaround to get around that secure gateway. And just to show you here, to kind of comment on an item that we were talking about before, if I come into the wireless control module, which again is also the TPMS module in this case, if we come in the special functions, you can see that you can erase all ignition keys, program ignition keys, you can program the TPMS sensor IDs, and you could do a lot of programming. But just like with the X tool and the D8, you have to have the PIN number. Now, this scan tool here will not read an existing PIN number out of the vehicle. You have to either obtain it from Chrysler or know it already in order to use this scan tool to program keys. But this scan tool will replace modules, replace program keys, and do everything you can normally do with other scan tools if you have that PIN number. That's just the one piece that it can't do. But if you have that PIN number already, everything else it's more than capable of doing. Again, replacing keys, key fobs, modules, or anything with a security system that would require you to have that 4-digit PIN, it can do. Again, with the exception of it just can't read the PIN out of the system. But to show you that you do have the options for it. So hopefully that was helpful. I don't want to draw this video out any longer than what it is. It's getting kind of dark, and I'm really hoping this turns out okay, because again, my editing software is on the basic side of it, and I don't have a good ability to record this screen and splice it in the video. It's one of the many things I still need to get for this channel in order to continue to grow. But hopefully that kind of gives you a high-level overview and the differences of that. Again, this scan tool, it's been on the market a little bit longer, bit more refined, and you can see that it's more geared to helping you troubleshoot, diagnose, perform actuation tests than some of the, again, it's not a dig on other scan tools, but again, you can kind of see some of the differences between the two. And those other scan tools, although they may not have the functionality that you're looking for, they are actively making changes to it. But if you're looking for a very nice shop-based scan tool, in my opinion, and you don't necessarily need something that can read pin numbers out of the existing systems, then this one by far will definitely do everything that you need it to do, you know, and then some. And like I said, I'll post a link in the description to the link I used to buy this one. Now, keep in mind that this is the 2021 edition. They have a 2022 edition, which has additional functionality in it, which is pretty darn cool. The newer versions of this scan tool can do online ECU programming, which is huge, especially if you have to do an ECU replacement in a vehicle and you need a way of programming it. And like I said, I would really love to get the updated version of this and actually attempt to do an ECU program and see if it can pull it off. Because if it can, for the price point these things are going for the ability to be able to, you know, get a blank ECU or a repaired ECU that you can put into a vehicle and program and not have to take it to the dealership to do a program, oh, that's worth every penny of the cost of the tool. But with that being said, if you haven't subscribed, please consider to do so. If you want me to go more into a little bit more in depth on, you know, reading data streams, things of that nature, please put a comment in the video below, just to kind of let me know direction to go into. I wanted this to kind of be more of a very high level and let you see some of the actual functionality of it. Maybe you're considering a purchase of this, maybe you're considering a purchase of something else, but to kind of give you an idea of what you're looking for. But if you haven't subscribed already, please consider to do so. I think we were right at 1,125 subscribers, and we're just hitting milestones that I didn't think that we would hit on this channel in this calendar year, and it's all thanks to everybody that has subscribed to this channel. I thank you immensely. It only helps us in the long run and will continue to allow us to do a lot of cool things and a lot of things that I have plans and in the works. And again, that subscriber count, the views help us to get there. With that being said, I will let you go, and I'll talk to you later. Thank you much.